Hi, this is Mato. In this video I will show you Game 10 from World Chess Championship 2013. In this game Magnus Carlsen had white pieces and he started with e4. Anand played c5, Sicilian defense, avoiding e5 and Ruy Lopez. Knight to f3, d6, bishop to b5, check, Moscow variation of Sicilian defense. And Anand played knight to d7. Bishop to d7 is the most played move in this position. We have knight to d7, d4, c takes on d4, queen takes pawn, a6, bishop takes knight, bishop takes bishop, c4, knight to f6, bishop to g5, e6, knight to c3, bishop to e7, Carlsen castled kingside, bishop to c6, queen to d3, making the room for the knight to come to d4. Anand castled kingside, knight to d4, attacking the bishop, rook to c8, b3, queen to c7, knight takes bishop, queen takes knight, rook from a to c1, h6, attacking the bishop, bishop to e3, knight to d7. This is a maneuvering stage. The position is equal. Bishop to d4, rook from f to d8, h3. What is the purpose of this move? Perhaps to avoid back rank checkmate in the future. Queen to c7, rook from f to d1, queen to a5. Carlsen played queen to d2. What is the purpose of this move? Well, let's play a random move and you'll see. If, for example, now g6, then knight to d5 is winning. Threat is knight takes bishop, and there is discovered attack on the queen. If now queen takes on d2, then in between move first, and after king to f8, knight takes on g6 check, pawn takes knight, and now rook takes on d2. To avoid this, Anand played king to f8, queen to b2, king to g8, a4, queen to h5, knight to e2, bishop to f6, rook to c3, bishop takes bishop, rook takes bishop, queen to e5, queen to d2, knight to f6, attacking the pawn on e4, rook to e3 defending, rook to d7, a5, preventing b5, queen to g5. Not the most precise move. It is white to move. What would you do? This is the move that gives white the advantage. Knight to e8. And now Carlsen captured the pawn on d6. There is a better move, and that is knight to c3. And the knight would be the star of the show. It may go to e4, or perhaps to a4 and then to b6. Instead we have e takes on d6, rook to c6, f4 attacking the queen, queen to d8, rook from e to d3, rook takes pawn, rook takes rook, lots of exchanges here, and we have the endgame. Is it about equal? Perhaps white is slightly better because white king can get in the center sooner. King to f2, king to f8, king to e3, king to e7, king to d4, king to d7, king to c5, threatening king to b6. Anand played king to c7, preventing king to b6. Knight to c3, knight to f5. Perhaps a good alternative move is g5, and after f takes on g5, h takes on g5. We have knight to f5, knight to e4, knight to e3, g3, f5, knight to d6, threatening knight to f8, check, winning the pawn. g5, check, king to d7, knight to f6, check again, king to e7. White to move. Should white go to g8 or to h5 with the knight? Knight to g8 is winning the pawn, but the knight may be trapped, and this is what Carlsen played. The alternative is knight to h5, and if king goes to d7 to look after the pawn on b7, then king to b6, king to c8, knight to g7. It appears that white stands better in this variation. What do you think? Okay, we have knight to g8, check, king to f8, knight takes on h6, pawn takes pawn, g takes on f4, king to g7, and the horse is dead. Knight takes on f5, pawn takes knight. If knight takes on f5, then king to b6 attacking the pawn on b7, and if knight to d6, c5, and white is winning. King to b6, knight to g2, king takes pawn on b7, knight takes pawn on f4, king takes pawn on a6, knight to e6, king to b6. Carlsen wants to promote the pawn on the a file. f4, the race, a6, f3, a7, f2. White gets a queen and black gets a queen too. Material is equal, and with two queens on the board, the position may be complicated. Queen to d5, queen to e1, defending the knight, queen to d6, queen to e3, check, king to a6, knight to c5, check, king to b5, knight takes on b3. It is white to move. White calculated until the end and played queen to c7, check. After king to h6, check. Queens are exchanged, and black can't win anymore. Players could have agreed to a draw, but they played few more moves. King to h5, h4, king takes on h4. Now Carlsen pushed the pawn to c5. If king goes to b5, then knight to d2 attacking the pawn. Pawn must be pushed, and then knight attacks the pawn again. Pawn must be pushed, and then knight to d4, check, forking the king and the pawn. And after king goes to c5, knight takes on c6. In the game we have c5, knight takes on c5. Draw. Magnus Carlsen is a new world chess champion. Carlsen drew the 10th game of the match to become the 16th undisputed chess world champion. And that is all. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. I wish you good luck with your chess, and bye for now.